Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about something that I am really excited about, and that is bioprinting. So I think by now most of us kind of know that 3D printers make stuff. You can make props, cute little knickknacks, or just fun little things. That's all out of plastic. You can also use metals and wood and stuff like that. Bioprinting is something completely different. Bioprinting is making body parts. So primarily skin, stuff like your bladder. Weirdly enough, they take your stem cells and program them into a computer, and they tell the computer like what to make. So if it's skin, they already have pre-designed 3D designs for skin. When I 3D print something like just a simple little helmet, I put it into my computer on the 3D printer and I say I want it to be this size, and I want it to be this thick, and I want it to take however long it's going to take. Is it going to be fast? Is it going to be really slow and detailed? So they already have the 3D file created. They take your stem cells and they place it into the mixture of the stuff that they're going to 3D print, and it 3D prints into like a little tiny petri dish type thing, because then what they have to do once they're finished is send it back to your doctor so that the doctor can take your newly printed skin and put it on your burn. Bioprinting is fairly new. They've only been doing it for a couple of years, and it hasn't quite gotten to the part where I think it was Grey's Anatomy had shown them 3D printing a heart. We haven't gotten there yet, to my knowledge, based on what I've researched. We have skin, we have bladders, we have different little bits that can be printed for corrective spinal surgery.
There was an incident with both a teenager and an older woman who both had severe spine damage. And with 3D scanning and 3D printing, doctors were able to create little support bars that could be placed up against their spines to support their spine, and both of them are now able to walk.
A 3D scanner is pretty simple. It does exactly what it sounds like it's going to do. It scans 3D objects. In order to 3D scan, what I have to do is I have to stand about a foot away from the individual that I am scanning. I have to make sure that I get all of the spots on his face, his chin, the back of his head scanned, or else it'll leave weird gaps. So that's why I have to do this whole like bend down and shine it underneath his chin and stuff to make sure I get all of those areas. For prosthetic arms, 3D scanners can be used to scan. So let's say someone for whatever reason is missing their left arm. Maybe there was a car accident and it had to get removed because it was too damaged. Maybe it was a war wound. Maybe they were born like that. There's no telling. And what they can do with the 3D scanner is scan the right arm and do a mirror image of it, so you have the exact dimensions that their left arm would be. They can then take that scan and create a prosthetic of it to put on the person's left arm. So another case of a prosthetic is animal prosthetics. There are multiple different animals that have been injured for various reasons. Some of them have been born in such a way where they're missing like a leg, and other times animals have been injured either because of fights they've gotten into with other animals. Possibly they got hit by a car. This is actually one of my favorite stories that I've read. This is Beauty. She is an eagle who had her beak shot off by some people who are not too nice. There she is without her beak. As you can see, that's very odd for an eagle, but her beak got shot off and she was taken to a wildlife habitat in hopes that they could be able to help her somehow. She was unable to drink water without help. She couldn't eat without someone feeding her, and she couldn't preen her feathers. Preening means that she has to clean her feathers in such a way for them to be able to work, for her to be able to fly, and just for her to be able to be clean. There was a dentist who wound up visiting the sanctuary where Beauty was, and he got the idea that maybe they could make a 3D printed beak for her. Now what I have is not her actual beak. This is just kind of like a model, because as you can see, you've got the head of the eagle here, but this would be what they had to 3D print for her, was this whole beak right here. And they were actually able to, as you can see, 3D print her beak. And because of that, they're learning about eagles and different kinds of birds in a way that they never had before, because the common belief was that eagles' beaks never grow back. But because this is the first eagle that has ever been able to survive without having a beak, they are noticing that very slowly her beak, like her actual beak, is growing back. And the hope is that maybe at some point her beak will be able to grow back the whole way, and she probably wouldn't get released back into the wild by then because she'd be too used to people, but she would no longer need the fake beak. There are various other cases of animals that have had prosthetics, such as a penguin whose foot was injured. He got new flippers for his feet. There has been a toucan that was injured. Same kind of thing as with Beauty. His whole beak, like the whole giant top beak, got 3D printed for him. He's currently in captivity. Cannot live by himself still because the beak has to be maintained by professionals. So like I said, 3D printers are really great for a multitude of reasons. One of my favorite stories is of a little dachshund. She's very, very cute, and she's missing both of her front legs. And the guy who owns her designed his own 3D printed wheelchair. We can download this wheelchair for free off thingiverse.com, which is where I got it. Basically, this is where the dog's body would sit, or even the cat. And this is for front legs. So you've got, this is where the front legs would be, and then you have wheels that you would attach right here so that they can roll. She's a very, very sweet little dachshund. There's actually a video of her on the Thingiverse page where you can watch her run around with it, and you will very quickly tell she's a very normal dachshund. If you're interested in learning more about bioprinting and 3D printers, I would recommend going to 3dprint.com and going to their bioprinting tab. You can find a lot of really awesome resources on there. They have a lot of articles that they have compiled from various different websites and companies, and it's just kind of a great place if you're interested in getting an overview. If you are interested in books to read, I would recommend firstly, you need to get books that are as new as possible. In our library system, we do have a couple that are available. The reason I say this is that since 2015, when 3D printers kind of became really big, and even earlier than that, 3D printers have changed an insane amount. Make sure you get newer books because they're going to have the most accurate information as to what is happening with 3D printers today. Some of the older ones have some good information in it, but it's not going to be 100% accurate as 3D printing as a science is evolving so quickly. Books that I would recommend are 3D Printing: An Introduction by Stephanie Torta, 3D Printing by John M. Jordan, 3D Printing: The Revolution in Personalized Manufacturing by Melissa Koch, 3D Printing and Maker Lab for Kids by Eldrid Sequeira, 3D Printing Design by Francis Bitonti, Cutting Edge 3D Printing by Latchana, Kenney. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a very fun video for me to make. 3D printing is really fun to me, so I just find this really fun to talk about. Bioprinting as a whole, I think, is one of the most interesting things. There's so many possibilities out there for what can be made to help people and animals. So let me know what you think, and let me know if you have any questions. I will see y'all next time.